No, I don't think it is. I mean, no, you're right. Firstly, you're right. I don't do hobbies because I see hobbies as things to fill up time.
Yeah.
Whereas I get genuinely interested, fascinated in things, and I love learning new skills and experimenting. I mean, I like to think that I have more the attitude of a kind of an inventor. I get genuinely into these things, and I pursue it. And I think, it's like everything in life. Wherever you put your focus, it starts to grow. You don't have to have talent to even do some good things, and definitely derive joy from it.
From the studio, no less. So, meet my partner, Greg Telfan, Joe Douek.
Hey, Greg. How you doing? Nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
So,
today, I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So, Greg, I got to give you a background. Joel's studio is my dream studio.
It's nice, yeah. It's several steps up from past studios, believe me.
Oh.
Specifically the ones in New York. I'm sorry?
An electric kit, and I see another you back there.
Yeah, so I had a lot of work, and I decided I needed to clone myself because, I just wasn't getting enough done. So this way we can split the. Do you want to play guitar?
Yeah.
You play guitar?
Okay, get out of here.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
It's useful. It's just useful, But sometimes it's a pain in the ass.
Oh my god!
So, have you found though, when you generate your clone, it's like regenerating a bootleg over time, it loses a generation essentially?
Definitely. I mean, the authentic me is definitely better. You agree with that? You don't? Okay, all right. I don't know.
He's not much of a talker. He's not Joel 1.0 is not much of a talker.
No, he's not. He's not much of a. I tell you,
he just leaves and does whatever he wants.
We're good. He's going to stay out of the picture for now.
Yeah. So
I just really quick before we start. Okay, I'm just being me. Okay. Really quick, I just want. All right, you look like an actor.
Oh no, he's going to do it.
Can do it. He played David Koresh in that thing, but he was in True Detective, and I'm going to show you a picture of him if I can.
Oh no, Greg!
Yeah, go for it.
All right.
It's just going to happen. How do I show him? Let me just
show your screen.
Give me some shareability really quick.
Yeah, hold on. Or do I?
Great looking dude, and you fucking look like him.
Thank you. Double compliments.
Oh, there you go.
All right, so I'm going to do share screen.
There you go. Multiple share. There you go.
My second desktop. Here it is. All right. So if you don't think you look like him, you're delusional.
Oh, easy.
No, I am delusional already. So
this guy, he's a great actor, but I think you look like him.
I want to see. Give me his name at least.
Share it.
You can't. I thought you're sharing. Hold on. Oh, sorry.
No.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. This guy.
That guy.
A little bit.
I don't know him.
Come on, dude. He was in True Detective. He's a great looking dude. Look, come on. I'm not.
What's his name?
His name is Taylor Kish.
Oh, okay.
No,
yeah, I mean, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. That's why I should be a casting agent, dude. I'm telling you, man. I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I'll stop sharing. I'm sorry, guys. I had to say it.
I actually prefer my wife's choice because definitely when I was younger, she used to say I look like Brad Pitt.
I mean, I can see that demeanor-wise.
I think any guy would take that. By the way,
yeah, any guy would take exactly. And specifically Brad Pitt in what was that movie with Rosanna Arquette and
California?
No. Oh crap! Can't remember the name of the movie. It'll come back to me. And in
True Romance? No.
True Romance. Yeah. In that movie, I used to have long hair, and in that movie, Brad Pitt plays this stoner that just never gets off the couch.
Yes, right.
Yeah,
that's right.
So that's what I look like
on the couch.
That version of Brad Pitt rather than the whatever river runs through it. Yeah. Anyway, so
I look like
be here. You look like what?
Dave Attell.
Dave Attell, the comedian. So how are things, man? How are things up on the hill with you and
things are doing okay. We've had, I guess, the same emotional roller coaster as everybody. But I would say that under the circumstances, we're doing fine up here. Keeping busy. We have something of a routine, although it's a little whacked. I mean, we have lunch at 4, and I work sometimes until 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning and stuff like that. I try to stick to my one rule. Actually, one of my 2 rules in life. One of them is I have to go to bed before my wife wakes up. Otherwise, there's a rift in the space-time continuum.
So you and Greg have very similar rituals with your spouse,
right? And my second rule is I'm not allowed in the studio in my pajamas. I have to get dressed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's all downhill. You lose that. That little impulse to just.
What happens? You get late.
Presentable stuff.
You lose focus. What happens when you wear your pajamas in the studio?
I just think you blend the 2 lives in a sense. And so, for example, I have no musical instruments inside the house. If I'm going to do music, I have to come in here. And I think once you start blurring that line, it's less about the studio becoming, a place of comfort and hanging out in pajamas. It's more about I'm kind of blending it with my sanctuary, my home. And therefore, when I leave the studio and go back into the house, I don't have that separation. I need to be able to cut it off and say, right, I'm at home. This is not a place of work. This is a place of relaxation.
Let me add into that. Like they say, when you're to have a healthy relationship with your spouse, to not have a TV in your bedroom, and I live by that rule.
Oh yeah. We don't have TV in the bedroom, and we haven't ever, I don't think. But even we lived in New York for several years without TV at all, largely because I just kept reacting to, being from the UK, to what passed at that point for news,
right?
Which is really, in this country, it's entertainment, and I found myself reacting to that. So I actually leaned out the window with a pair of shears, and I cut the cable as far down as I could reach, and that was that. And then we lived for the next few years, I think like 4 years without TV. And
that is great. Awesome, dude.
Yeah. So let me ask you, your adversity to news. You worked for the UN for a little while, so you saw the world situation.
Yeah, and I think
before you're a musician.
Yeah, that's actually part of it. So I used to work in the Department of Humanitarian Affairs, and my day would begin. I'd arrive in my office and I'd have like a sheet on my desk, which was like bullet points from usually Reuters and Associated Press of basically all the worst atrocities that mankind had committed or been vulnerable to through natural disasters in the last 24 hours. And it's not a nice way to start your day. And it's very easy to kind of lose hope in humanity because you're seeing it through the lens of the worst as opposed to the best. And I think that was a big part of why I needed to get that out of my life, and just dose it. I still try to live by not watching graphic video. Like, I can listen to radio about stuff, I can read about it, but if there's videos, I don't watch them because I know that it's going to make me depressed. It's not healthy. I know some, particularly these days, some videos, we tell ourselves, well, we have to see it in order to understand the gravity of this situation or whatever. But I think, I know for myself, I get it. I don't need to have it rammed down my throat. I get it. Yeah. So I try to limit that.
That's always good advice, man. Because especially even before you go to sleep, just on a daily level, like whatever you watch, literally in a goes into your subconscious, and then you start having these dreams that are kind of a waste of time because you were watching some shit that was really graphic that really isn't helping move your life forward to where you want it to be. So
yeah, and you're just going to regurgitate it in your own version, your own perverse version in your dream, like substituting characters with people you know and stuff. Yeah, I do that a lot. Well, I won't lie to you, since we're talking about sleep. Sleep has been the biggest issue for me during all this. I think, obviously we're all living with a resting level of anxiety that's probably a lot higher than we did before the pandemic, and sometimes that makes it hard to motivate for work. But the most direct effect that I've been feeling is just a total inability to sleep. And so that's a tough one, because if you don't sleep, then you don't function well, you don't reason well, and and it's not good even for your physical health. That's when your body does its repair.
I was listening to Joe Rogan yesterday. We interviewed this band called Crash Karma, and he told me to listen, because I'm a night owl myself, and he told me to listen to this guy named Matt Walker.
Okay.
Now, he's a sleep scientist, and he has a lot to shed on light on what we're talking about right now. But he said if you don't get that sleep that you need, your mind will literally fuck with you, and to the point where like you start thinking crazy stuff, like you start getting paranoid, you start acting out of character, and you're really, again, like you said, not firing on all cylinders, and you're not in optimal state of mind. So but he also said
it's an accepted form of torture. Sleep deprivation is a very popular form of torture. Usually, hopefully not self-inflicted, but it's the same thing.
Just dealing with what everybody else is dealing with it in your own way, right?
Yeah.
Well, I really like your haircut, man. I don't have hair, so.
Well, no, I mean, this is what it's become. I got it cut in
We go to the same stylist, so.
Yeah, and I'll give her a plug, Kazi Mayoga.
Yep, gorgeousrocks.com.
Gorgeous Rocks. And she's just the most incredible human, but also the most incredible hairdresser. And her haircuts last indefinitely. They just grow out fine. So lucky on that front.
Looking good, man. Looking good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Looking good, Lewis. Sorry, that's from Trading Places.
I remember.
So I know you've been busy with several things, but how's the landscape looking these days of getting new work for some of the documentaries you've done in the past, like Yu-Gi-Oh, Ninja Turtles, stuff like that? What's the new work horizon been like, trying to get stuff going?
It's been a little bleak. There haven't been a lot of new projects coming in, but I can, if you like, I can kind of go through the different parts of my working life. So as a composer, definitely projects dried up considerably. I've been fortunate to be working on a film at the moment, which finished shooting the day before lockdown in New York.
Oh wow!
And so the rest of the process, the post production process, has been done all remotely. Between the director and the editor, they're using an online type of synced viewing mechanism to do the edits, and then myself, my co-composer, who's in New York, also operating remotely, which is something that I've been doing for a while, very comfortable with. And so that's been keeping me busy. I also do some work for a company called Man-Made Music, also based out of New York, and they've been keeping me pretty busy. We do a lot of sonic brands, and so there's been some stuff there. My VR company, I have a VR, virtual reality, augmented reality company, where we do sound and music for those forms of media. And in the space of 5 days at the beginning of the pandemic, every job was systematically shut down. Wow. And which was pretty nerve-wracking. We've seen a little bit of an uptick recently, but doing whatever possible, getting unemployment as well, and applied for one of those PPP loans for for my composing business. Got a paltry amount of money, but it's better than nothing.
Right.
So it's interesting to see, and now moving forward, I guess everyone is trying to figure out how long this is going to be for, and then how we're going to get out of this, how things will restart. We're seeing, for want of another way of saying it, the failed attempts right now at reopening the economy.
Sure.
And I think it is backfiring. And so I think it's probably just going to shrink back down for another couple of months, and then maybe there'll be a renewed effort to try to, get things going.
Yeah.
But I for myself, I'm taking this very seriously in terms of staying at home. I'm actually at high risk because of one of the medicines that I take. So I'm super quarantined. I've been out of the house 3 times since late February.
Wow.
3 times. And one of them was to go to a doctor to get an antibody test because I thought I'd had the virus, but it came out negative. So back home and doors closed again.
Yeah, sure.
Masks,
sure.
all of that, and it's not forever. It's not forever. It's I just posted some news that it's looking like we might have mass distribution of an antibody serum as early as August, and the vaccine in November. My brother is one of the people working on the vaccine, actually. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah, he works for Tony Fauci.
Yeah.
He's a professor of virology and immunology at the National Institutes of Health. And he, alongside everybody else, was brought on board to work on the vaccine and treatments and stuff. So I get, good information from him, and I'm able to relay any kind of concerns that friends have or questions. I can just send them through to him, and I get an answer by the morning that is a reasoned and accurate answer about the status of things. And he's very optimistic. He is very optimistic. They have a vaccine. It's already working. It's already been proved safe in phase 1 trials. Phase 3 trials, which is the final stage, is beginning on or around July 9th. 30,000 people throughout the US. It is such a massive undertaking, never been done before, that it's really akin to a shot at the moon, trying to land on the moon again. And his boss, Tony Fauci, has actually brought in the US military to help coordinate this massive effort.
Oh, that's going to look...
No, which is great. I mean, because this is what they do. And then they're doing this kind of behind the government's back because the government is effectively not functioning. But they're moving ahead with this anyway, and it's very impressive. And they have a lot of optimism. They're working their asses off. But
So
I think, yeah.
He's got his finger on the pulse on what's going on.
Yeah, he does. He doesn't know everything, but they're running multiple studies to determine, how long does immunity last? All of these kinds of questions need to be answered.
Yeah.
But in the immediate, if we can, be serious about it, stay in. If you go out, wear your mask. All those things.
I mean, I've been absolutely serious about it. I mean, living in Los Angeles. I mean, Joel. We both live here, and the thing is that nothing against the great citizens of Los Angeles, but they're just people who are kind of selfish sometimes, and they don't respect your space because that's the way it's always been. And there's been situations where I've gotten into arguments with people in stores because the thing is like, they're like, well, you're wearing a mask. Yeah, but you're not. And you're 3 feet away from me. Get the F away. And I think it's, we've watched, I'm sure you have similar stories. We've watched our friends in the music community and stuff stay at home and just watch them suffer in the way. But the thing is that, the flip side of that I see is like, everybody, but a lot of those people, 1, haven't been infected with the virus. 2 is haven't lost anybody close or near to them. It's like it's not real to them. And the thing is, you gotta count your blessings in the sense. And I agree with you. It's like staying at home's been the best thing for me. It's like in all 3 of my businesses, I've worked more than I ever have in the past 6 years. So it's been perfect in that respect. But for folks like you who are immunodepressed and stuff like that, it's not about you. It's not about the guy who's healthy in the personal situation. It's about the folks that aren't. That you gotta see the greater good. That there's something bigger to this than just you going to Trader Joe's or going to a bar.
I agree with that 100%.
And we're only in the first phase too, with all these spikes coming up in the past 2 weeks, after Memorial Day.
I've been trying to understand. I've lost some friends over this.
Really?
I wouldn't say maybe one close friend.
With arguing?
Yeah, just working through, this particular question, and this politicization of wearing masks and in general taking the guidelines seriously and stuff like that, and some people feeling it's like an affront to their freedom, and I've been trying to understand the reasons for this split that we're seeing, and I don't have all the answers. There's been some really interesting articles that focus on personality traits, and whether it seems that people who wear masks and observe social distancing properly and stuff have more what they call pro-social traits, which means they tend to be more empathetic towards other people. They think about other people's well-being above their own, and that's not the case for the others. The other one that struck me the other day was wondering whether part of it is to do with people who have suffered some kind of quite severe illness or other trauma. And in my case, full disclosure, I have got Crohn's disease for most of my life. I've had many hospitalizations, 3 surgeries, all kinds of things, and been on my deathbed more than once. And so when I look at this, it's like, on the one hand, I wear a mask and I'm safe and stay home. On the other hand, I don't, and I take a crazy risk and stuff like that. For me, it's a no-brainer. I look at that and think to myself, oh, no, I don't want to be ill again. I absolutely don't. By the same token, you mentioned, people being disconnected from it because they don't know anyone that's had it. In the case of my wife's family, we know 4 people who died in the last month.
Oh God!
Predispositions or
mostly they're my wife's Peruvian. Mostly the people they were in Peru or they went to Peru to visit family, and they were older. I would say 60 and over, but otherwise in good health. And so that becomes real. And I think. I think if anyone has kind of faced those kinds of questions where ultimately you've kind of have to come to terms with your own mortality, then it informs your attitude towards these kinds of things, I think, quite a powerful way.
Way of looking at it, man.
Which it kind of leads me to the next thing is that, you are, I've known you for probably about a year and a half or so, and I've watched you go from this, being just the music composer guy, but there's so many other layers to your onion per se, because the thing is like, when you take something on, you take it on full breath. There is no just, oh, this is a hobby. This is like a new career for me. And I've seen you with your art just do amazing stuff. Is that kind of what drives the attitude behind it? Is that I don't want to be sick again. I've been on my deathbed once or twice. I'm going to live this life as hard as I can before I go out of it.
No, I don't think it is. I mean, no, you're right. Firstly, you're right. I don't do hobbies because I see hobbies as things to fill up time.
Yeah.
Whereas I get genuinely interested, fascinated in things, and I love learning new skills and experimenting. I mean, I like to think that I have more the attitude of a kind of an inventor. I get genuinely into these things, and I pursue it. And I think, it's like everything in life. Wherever you put your focus, it starts to grow. You don't have to have talent to even do some good things, and definitely derive joy from it. But I think one of the things that allows me to do this is that I don't make a big distinction between one part of my life and another part of my life. Actually, it's one of my favorite sayings, which is a very sobering one. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything.
Sure.
Right. So,
Did you make that up?
I did not. But you can turn that around on yourself, and it's pretty frightening. For example, let's say you take a ride in a car with someone, and the car is just an absolute mess inside. And they say, you know what? Please excuse the car. My home is fine, and the rest of my life. You look at it and go, no, man. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And the one thing that I try to do is I don't look at these individual, let's say, creative pursuits as their own, like, totally separate, compartmentalized things. I think it's all the same. So rather than, saying I'm a composer here and an artist here, making the skill that I develop one of just being able to turn on creativity or know how to find inspiration to do things. And as I said, a lot of that just comes from play and curiosity. I'm extremely immature.
There you go. Be at the heart of a kid, but have the seriousness of somebody that's actually going to pursue something of value and fulfill their life.
But most importantly, just do it because you enjoy it. Because if you do it for another reason, like if you do it to make money, that will show through in the product, in what you make, right? So that intent behind everything you do has got to be pure, if you like, right? And if you can't keep it that way, then you shouldn't do it. So I just go at it like that. I mean, but I also don't shut the door to making these commercially viable, because that's part of the creativity for me. It's like, running a business is as creative as writing a piece of music. It's all creative. I mean, in a sense, I like to think that, life is not a science, it's an art. It is definitely an art, not a science. And in order to be good at life, you need to be an artist. You need to make sure you're an artist. You need to be creative. That's how, so I don't draw a lot of distinction between these different parts of my life. And it allows me to literally just kind of teleport very quickly from one to the other. And very often I'm working on a music project at the same time as an art project. And, I do a coat of paint, and then it needs to dry. I run down to the music studio, carry on writing music. Then when the paint is dry, I run back up, do another layer or spray or whatever. And so I'm constantly moving and juggling these two things.
Let's talk about that, because there's a lot of research on the contrary that says when you do things like that, most people, this is ADD, people just have the dopamine thing where it's like they're doing everything, but nothing's getting done. So to be able to multitask and do it the way you just said it is the way to get multiple things done that you're absolutely passionate about, and be able to kill two birds with one stone without getting diverted attention and spreading yourself too thin. So for what I just learned from what you just said is something that I try to do every day myself. If I'm doing my work stuff, I have something going for work, and while that's going on, I could go and finish an article doing this. I find myself getting overwhelmed just us doing this podcast and having to do content creation every day and coming up with, the content's great. You're the content, right? So that's there. But then it's also the other business stuff that I'm learning for the first time on the fly, and then applying these different strategies. It's exciting, but it's like, it can get overwhelming. However, I always tell myself, all right, listen, this is what you need to do to get this to where it needs to be. And if I'm working on it and getting a little better every day, and I don't feel like I'm spreading myself too thin, but there are points where there's a learning curve, and it's like we were learning Premiere to edit. I'm like, oh my God, it's easy to understand, but then to go through it and to actually implement it is pretty tough. But once you do it, like, now you got a new skill. Now you can hone in on that skill, and it's going to help your creativity. So that's
but it does matter a little bit. What is the kind of thing that you're doing? The things that you just mentioned, they're all pretty much conscious brain activity things, right? It demands conscious focus. Writing music and doing art. I mean, this is one of the things that I think everybody should realize if they haven't already. It's not a conscious process. We don't have any control over it. You don't have any control. So in a sense, when you're dealing with subconscious activities, it doesn't really matter what you do. The art that I do is quite physical, metal and wood and stuff like that. The music that I do, because it's film score and TV score, can get quite cerebral, because I really have to dial it in so it works with dialogue and stuff like that. So there is a conscious element there, although the music itself, has to come unconsciously because that's where it comes from. And so it actually, the multitasking in this case, it helps me find a sense of balance between, something that is like here on a keyboard and locked in to something that's much more out there and moving around. Then I feel that they kind of even each other out. And I also feel productive. Music is a very abstract art form, right? And, it just kind of, something that I realized when I did my first art show is that when people are judging your music, they're judging a memory of it, right? They've just heard it and then they'll tell you what they're thinking, right? But they're always judging or evaluating a memory of what happened because it doesn't really exist. It's just, it was just there and then it went. In the case of visual art, it's right in front of you, when they're looking at it, it's tangible, it's physical. And for me, that was terrifying when I did my first show. It's like, as though the walls were covered with pieces of my music that were just like, it's like a nightmare. What a nightmare. But it's a very different thing. It really is.
A nightmare how? Because it was your first time,
yeah, because you're very exposed.
Yeah.
I felt very, very exposed because it wasn't abstract. It was tangible. You could touch it. You could pick it up. It's like, it was very tangible. And that was, it's like cutting off an arm and putting it on that wall and an arm. It's like, this is a part of you that's physical. And I wasn't used to that because I'm used to music.
How did after that thought with, that scary thought, the nightmarish feelings that you were having, how about afterwards when you went through with it? How did
it was great. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I'd like to do it again. And also I think, realizing that even if it's a tangible thing, it's not all of you. It's just a part of you, right? And so you put this stuff on the walls, and hopefully in a few months' time you do it again. It'll be a whole different batch of stuff that articulates a different aspect of what you wanted to express. And so all around, it was a very good experience. And Mike could tell you this. I think I put together 40 pieces of art. In 6 months.
And every time I would go over to the house, he's like, check this out. And it was always like another level or layer of education that he was giving himself, like whether it was working with copper or wood, gold leaf, whatever it was. And it was just amazing how kinesthetically he put it together. It was really like, I always left your house like wowed and inspired.
Thank you.
How do you come up with these pieces? How do they, because I know I'm a musician. I could tell you right out of the thin air. I'm like, I think of a
Well, before you ask that question, the one piece I felt was the best is we had a meeting in that studio, and it was that of a heartbeat. What was that for? It was like how the level of a heartbeat actually works. It was for some display. It was like for a science museum or something like that. No,
what it was it's something I've been actively putting together on the sound side of my work. I call them sonic journeys, and what they are is they are effectively sound/music experiences that have some built-in technologies, let's say sonic technologies, that can affect not only your emotional state but also your physiological one. So I can basically slow down or speed up their heart rate, the breathing rate, all of that kind of stuff. And obviously we want to use these in positive ways, and so these were for the most part developed to help people in a therapeutic sense to move, for example, from a place of agitation to a place of calm focus, either to one of like calm enough to actually fall asleep, or calmer but still able to be highly productive. So
thought, anxiety, or whatever's bothering you in life. I think I use something called binaural beats.
So I built binaural beats into these, and isochronic beats. I also used what we call beat entrainment, which is the natural tendency of the body to synchronize the heartbeat and breathing rate to a beat that's outside. So, for example, if we all go to a nightclub and we're listening to a track that's playing at, let's say, 110 beats per minute, after a while, our hearts, we never measured this, right? Our hearts will all be beating as one. Isn't that the poetic? So it's a real thing. Yeah. Now, so what I do with the sonic journeys is I start off with an assumption that people are coming into a little bit agitated. So the beat, which is almost indetectable, it's very subtle, but it plays at 100 beats per minute. And then over the course of usually around 30 seconds, this is my entrainment module, I slow it down progressively until we get to about 70 or 75 beats per minute. And as that happens, you just kind of feel yourself like sinking into it, and it's like, okay, it's slowing down, it's good, and you find yourself, really relaxing. And so I use the binaural beats. I use also what we call biophilic sounds, biophilia, which means, like the sounds of the ocean, the sounds of the forest, and that also we respond to naturally. That can be also very positive. And then there's the musical side of it, where then we use harmony and melody. Melody that repeats makes people feel familiar with a piece, and so they accept it very quickly. It's kind of like priming. And then the harmonic content, whether it's major and minor, and delivers the emotion. And you put all of this together as a package that people could listen to for 10 minutes and stuff like that.
What about
a very powerful effect?
That is a beautiful thing. What about the frequency, the hertz it's playing at? Because I know I listened to 528 and 432.
432. Yeah. So you want to hear a story about that?
I always do. I'm very fascinated by this stuff, man.
So I became interested in 432 tuning, just to kind of for people to understand what that is. In the US and in the UK and in large parts of the world, we've been tuning A to 440. So
told you.
We tune that note to 440. All right, but it hasn't always been that way. And let's say in the beginnings of understanding, let's say the mathematics of music, the ancient Greek philosopher Pythagoras, a mathematician, who believed that there was a connection between music and the movement and behavior of celestial bodies. They call it like the music of the spheres. That all centered around a tuning of 432. And there's been lots of tunings over time. But 432 has been a very popular one. Mathematically, it divides up the scale into whole numbers in the way it works. And the Italian composer Verdi was very fond of it, and so we also call it Verdi tuning. The Stradivarius violin, arguably the best violin in the world, was built to be played at 432, not at 440. Right. Where did 440 come from? It was actually pushed in by Joseph Goebbels.
Who is?
Reich.
Who is? There you go. What is going on? We need everybody in a very bad state of mind in 440.
Something like that. There's been studies over time about, is it better to listen? Do people enjoy it more? Is it better for the world and stuff? And I was always kind of a little skeptical about it. I listened to it, and I've got a good sense of pitch, but I couldn't really, there's so much stuff around this and something that's not true as well, that I couldn't really take it on board and say, this is the way it should be. Anyway, so some years ago, I was hired as a sound guy and composer to work on a project. We were filming a big VR project in the Amazon jungle for over the course of a month. And we went from the furthest quarter of Suriname to Ecuador, right the other side of the Amazon. And part of my job was to not only be the sound guy, but because I was going to write the music, I wanted to record tonal sound. Sound of cicadas, monkey, whatever I could find that was tonal, because I wanted to build that into the musical score. So that's what I did. I recorded all of this tonal sound from all over the Amazon jungle.
Dude, that's deep.
I come back here, I come to my studio, pull up my sample orchestra, and I play the recordings that I recorded in the Amazon. And I realized there's a mismatch, right? They sound out of tune with each other. So I measured the tuning of the Amazon jungle recordings, and guess what they were?
432.
Wow.
And everything in the jungle had an internal consistency with 432, which means that the cicadas were in tune with the birds, who were in tune with the monkeys, who were in tune with the tribesmen and their calls, and everything was tuned to 432. And when I discovered that, I literally, my jaw dropped, and I just went, Jesus help.
That's
you realize what this means? It means it was true. That
true.
Somehow, like, the natural world is tuning itself to this number, to this.
Well, something to do with Fibonacci sequence, I think. But at the same point, I was talking to Mike about this the other day. I said, how do I get my recordings in 432? Because I want to. We've been preconditioned as a society to listen to 440, and 440, like you said, comes from Third Reich, Joseph Goebbels, and that basically throws us off. That throws us off our vibration. Now you're vibrating at a frequency that isn't normal to thriving. And that's what they didn't want to happen.
Well, it's technically, like, if you really think about it, it's almost a vibration of dominance.
Well, the 440, yeah, it's like...
Yeah, or subservience.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know. Again, I'm not willing to go that far, because I just don't think we don't know. But all I know at this point, I can't say whether it's better or worse, but I can tell you that confidently that the natural world, as I've recorded it, at least the Amazon jungle, is tuned to 432. So there is something going on there. Is listening at 440 somehow some kind of mind control thing? I don't think so. But yeah, if you want to listen at 432, you just put a little pitch changer in line, whether you're on Pro Tools or something like that, and change that pitch 8 hertz down. Yeah. And you'll be listening. So, funnily enough, because I did that project at 432 then, because I tuned my whole orchestra then to 432, I left it that way. And all the music I wrote for quite a while after, so for example, I wrote the Hulu Originals theme.
Oh my God.
That's a 432.
I didn't realize you did that. That's amazing.
Yeah. That's a 432, just because that's where my computer was set to. And I was like, I'm just going to keep writing music at 432 unless someone tells me otherwise. Which they did eventually, and said, you're out of tune with the rest of us. And it's like, or are you out of tune with me and the Amazon?
You're right. So how many
Would
more?
you question Mother Earth? Really?
Yes, exactly.
How many more science experiments do you need to conduct to be able to understand that that's the fucking true vibration we're at? That's the frequency that we should be at. Now I'll tell you from listening to 440, I can't really tell because I guess I'm conditioned, but I could tell you that every night I go to bed, I'm listening to these frequencies, and for my headspace and for the crazy world that's out there, I've remained so calm, cool, and collected. And I'm not the fucking guru of this shit. I'm an avid, passionate person, and like being able to control my thoughts and being able to just be productive and be the most resourceful person that I could be without having to waste my time thinking about things that aren't going to be conducive to my life purpose. I don't think, just from research, if you research what you've done on your own, you will find a shit ton of facts that add up to the same thing. I've listened to documentaries on the 440, 432 thing, and you're naturally just in line with what you need to be doing. So you did that on your own. So, I mean...
Yeah, and I won't say which company, but let's say I just did some demos for a rather large company that manufactures silicon chips, and this was part of the concept that I came up with. Was I wrote the music in the key of silicon that was figured out by physicists at the Large Hadron Collider and stuff. The frequency of silicon is a B. And then I tuned everything to 432. So I was actually writing 432 music last week as part of the core concept I was bringing to it, and then explained exactly why I did it and told the whole story about the Amazon jungle because it's unimpeachable.
People are probably look at me. I'm like a little.
We'll see. It's fascinating.
I mean, you just talked about the Hadron Collider.
Yeah, it is fascinating. So you should also know that before I got into music full time, I've always done music. But I actually studied sciences in college. I actually did 2 years of medicine, switched out and finished my bachelor's degree in neuroscience and human sciences. And then I did a master's in science and ethics.
Oh, wow.
While I was working at the UN, based around the subject of Chernobyl, which was my thing. So I come from a very scientific background. My brother, I told you about before, he's a doctor and a virologist, immunologist. My father's a retired surgeon, a doctor. He's one of the people that invented the cochlear implant. So there's always been science in our, in my surroundings. And I even though I guess I'm more of an artist by nature.
But art is science in a way too.
Yeah, exactly. I don't really draw much of a line.
The fact that he did that experiment and figured out that is very, very profound.
So like when he played us that, so we were having a meeting at his house in his studio, and he was playing that heartbeat thing of how to raise and lower your heartbeat. Dude, I could feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Instantly feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
And we're back. Sorry.
And we're back. The government.
This is actually the second time that happened to me today.
They don't want us to talk about 432, man. I'm telling you, right?
They shut us down. You see? They shut us down.
It's powerful. It really is really powerful. Bro, my family, my lineage, my ancestors are the founding fathers of Kabbalah, right? And my cousins were asked to go out there to Israel and Spain. We're Sephardic, but I'm also, my dad's Armenian, so I have a mix. But they go and they basically, our family has taught this. Basically, the science, the law of attraction thing is it's so shallow with the secret. There's so much more to it, and it all has to do with vibrating on certain frequencies that bring you into line with the like-minded individuals that are going to be connecting with you to help you fulfill your true purpose and get the best out of everybody that you encounter, and keep having amazing conversations. And today, when you just got off the internet there, I was just like, I'm sitting here, I'm like, my mind's blown. I mean, we were talking about this before, and he's like, what are you talking about, bro? And I'm like, dude, trust me. 440. There's more.
Yeah. So, Greg, Sephardic here as well.
Oh,
yeah.
Turns out my great grandfather was a major Kabbalist as well, and
it was my ancestor.
Who?
Abraham Abulafia.
Yeah, mine was Abraham Douek, same name. Aham Abraham Douek, and he lived in Aleppo, and tried to keep the peace between the Ottoman Empire and the Jewish community.
Yep. Yeah. My ancestor almost turned the Pope Jewish, like that. He would
so that's where the joke comes from.
Yeah.
They never found him. Like he ascended or something. They never found him. We never.
Or he's in a Vatican vault.
Yeah, right. He's in the vault with the.
He's still alive. They're keeping him down there, along with the aliens.
Yeah, along with the reptilians. If you look at the Vatican, though, if you look at the top of it, if you took a bird's eye view of it, it is the head of a fucking snake. If you look at the NASA logo, that little ribbon in there, that's the tongue of a snake. That's not just a ribbon, okay? And it's
don't get me started on the symbology of this.
You're a deep brother, man. I mean, I can't wait to come out there and eventually.
Yeah. Where are you based?
I'm in Bergen County, New Jersey, right by the rim.
Oh, I know well. So my wife's family, they all live in Union.
That's where he's going next tonight, by the way.
Right. So I spent a lot of time there, and my nephews grew up there, so. I'm fond of it, you know.
Pleasure.
So I love New Jersey.
Yeah, it loves you too, man. And I wanted to kind of get back to your.
Yeah.
We're speaking. This is such a deep conversation, but it kind of transpires into what your work is all about, right? We're talking about your art, and then we can also talk about the films that you've worked on. You know, I'm on your website. The past couple of days, just looking around, and you have done some amazing stuff. Can you? Kind of point out one piece that we can speak to a little bit more that can kind of convey your passions and your value.
Yeah, I mean, I can preface it by saying that, having started at medical school and then worked in humanitarian work for 8 years, and then found myself in music. It never sat easily with me, the idea that I was in the entertainment industry. And still, when you have to fill in a form and they ask you what's your profession, and you go to drop down menu and engineer, no, entertainment. And I just never liked choosing that, because I guess I always wanted to do something that would help people alleviate their suffering in some form or inspire them in some way. And again, where I was talking before, that music is a very abstract thing. It doesn't necessarily do that. So I've always skewed more towards, in more recent years, more towards documentary because I think life is genuinely interesting. You just need to point a camera and you're going to find something interesting. And for me, often much more interesting than, the contrived story by some writer who's written it based on not a life experience, but based on watching a whole bunch of things and movies and, and coming up with their own
just recycle
version of it, recycling, and I can spot it, so documentary has always spoken to me, and then I've been very fortunate to work on many documentaries with the British naturalist Sir David Attenborough. And I would say that, that whole body of work, that's nine different documentaries I did with him, I feel has been the most fulfilling. I think I've also written some of my best music, and these all been large scale orchestral projects. So there's that element of sure, I write the music, but then it's becomes greater than the sum of the parts because it's played by 62 musicians who are individually brilliant at what they do. And I have a whole team that works with me, orchestrators, engineers, and it just becomes its own thing. You don't own it. And so those are the projects I think that have been the most exciting, the richest experiences that I've had. And in among those, I would probably say Galapagos. We did one, Nature's Wonderland. And we did another one called Conquest of the Skies, which was all about the evolution of flight and the birds, and from early birds and pterosaurs all the way to modern birds and everything, and insects, everything that flies. And I work with a couple of really close friends of mine. We've been writing music together since the days of Yu-Gi-Oh! And Ninja Turtles, and it was an opportunity to work with them, and we make each other better. It's like we divide up the work. Someone writes a melody for this particular kind of bird or character or situation, and then we'll take that on board, and then we'll take and run with it, and vice versa. And these experiences are which are so collaborative as well, and so much fun. I mean, we work really, really hard, but we have a lot of fun with it. And then at the end, we do a remote recording in Eastern Europe, in Bratislava or Budapest and stuff like that. So, there's a real excitement. The stakes are also high because, we don't have a big budget. We've got to make the most of it. You can't fuck up. And, and it is quite grueling. But, at the end of it, these have been probably my favorite projects.
That's awesome. By the way, I've watched the Great Barrier Reef myself, and
I did music for that one as well. I also was the music editor on that one. Flying Monsters was another one, and a few series for BBC, and those have been really, really great, really great. I've become a little bit curious about narrative as well. I did do a film a couple of years ago with a good friend of mine, and that was a film noir filmed in New York. Really, really strong, dark. I love that shit. I really eat it up, and it gave me an opportunity to write a very jazzy noir type of score. And so
muted trumpets and
trumpet solos, and actually it's with that director that I'm working on this current film, which is stretching me and my co-composer in yet a different direction, because we've been writing a lot of really kind of weirdly eclectic pop, which is not usually. I'm an orchestral guy, so I don't usually do that. But again, so I think if it's not a project that is outwardly, let's say, saving the world or teaching something, then I think where it allows the people involved creatively to push their own boundaries and discover kind of new sounds and new things about yourself and where you want to go, then I do enjoy that as well. Wherever I can break ground, really. Yeah,
I think that's amazing, man. I'm truly inspired by all the words you're saying. What kind of advice would you give to people like that are listening about, we talk about monetizing our music and such, and it's like nobody, and me being in a band, I write music all the time, and I'm like, wait a minute, I could be selling this to, publishers and libraries and such, and I haven't done that yet because I've been so just encapsulated by writing the music and just enjoying the moment of and not really understand. You're like, okay, wait, I'm in sales anyway. I'm in marketing. Why haven't I even tried to do this at all? And it's because there's other people involved. And when there's other people involved, it complicates things a little bit more. But it puts things in perspective where you've pivoted this. You've done this for a long time. But what kind of advice would somebody like to me to get into this? You got to obviously know people, right? But at the same time,
I don't think it's about the other people. I think one of the major fears is that, particularly if music is your sanctuary, that you worry that you're going to pollute it by having to depend on it. Sure. And that's a legitimate concern that I think that I can understand, actually. But it's not the way I approach it.
Definitely not.
And I think the best advice that I give and take myself as well is not to be precious about your music. About your art, not to be precious about it. Try to always feel prolific and to remember that, okay, you did this track. I like this track. It's kind of important to me. I don't want to sell it. No, just sell the damn track, because you tell yourself, I'm going to write something 10 times better tomorrow. And always feel that you're coming from this place of, yeah, I got more of that when this came from. I mean, that's just my early stuff. You want to buy it, you want to license it, yeah, take it. And that's what I've kind of nurtured for myself is this attitude of, there's plenty more coming. And I've had this discussion with some songwriters and stuff like that who were very precious about a particular song, and they didn't want to sell it, or then they were like, I don't want to sell it for that amount. It really has to be a lot of money. And say, well, you're not going to get that. I can't. And I've sat them down and told them, look, if you think that is the best song you're ever going to write, you might as well quit now, because we're just starting. And why would I even bother aligning myself with you if that's all you've got? So do you think you can write something better tomorrow? And they're like, I don't know. It's like, all right, then quit.
Right. So there you go. There it is. I never felt guarded against anything, and I've always wondered why people were like that. It's like, dude, you're not even doing anything with it anyway, and like nobody's even going to hear it, and nobody.
Yeah, you don't exist until people have found your music. So another thing is to remember that, sure, it's a vehicle of your own self-expression, but music in particular is a very important way that people are able to experience emotion between the lines and connect with each other and resonate with you as the writer and then with the other people that might like that music. And so put it out there in the world for them, and you're vulnerable in that position. But, one other motto I live by, which I think was George Clooney was interviewed on some talk show thing, and they asked him about like fame and fortune or something like that, and criticism. He said, well, if you just try to remember that you're never as bad as they say you are, and you're never as good as they say you are, you'll be okay. Because I've written music for movies that have been slated, actually just condemned, and it is so painful when that happens, and you just think, like, why would they write something about it? I just poured my heart into this, and it feels like they're saying, you're useless and meaningless, and I don't like you, because you opened yourself up. So you just have to kind of take it with a pinch of salt and to some extent roll with the punches and be a little zen about the whole thing as much as you can, which is almost impossible because as composers, we are born vulnerable and sensitive because that's how we're able to do what we do. So, it's a setup, basically. But, you have to navigate your way through this. But you don't exist unless you put your music out there. And I think it's very, it's in some sense almost selfish. It's like, we don't know where the music comes from, right? I said at the beginning that it's a subconscious thing. Mm-hmm. That's one version of the story. Right. Another way of saying subconscious is that we're channeling, that it's coming through us. And I think, whatever your beliefs, I'm pretty much, I call myself, I'm an atheist on a bad day and an agnostic on a good one, right? That's kind of the sum total of my, of what I figured out. Yeah. So I don't know where it comes from, but I do sometimes come into the studio and listen to what I did the day before and just think, did I do that? I don't know. Did I do that? I've even called up friends, like my two composer friends, it's like, did you write that piece or did I write that piece? It's like, it's really fucking good.
You're outside of yourself, though.
You're outside of yourself, yeah. And you feel like it's just channeling, and the ideas come and you don't know where they're coming from. And because of that, that sense of ownership, like I did this, it's mine, wrapped up with ego, it is not it's not accurate. I don't think it's accurate, and you have no right to withhold that, in a sense, from everybody else. It's like if you've been given a gift of to be able to express it, someone out there might resonate with it. It might do some good. Get it out there.
Sovereignty. It's your divine sovereignty to share it. I mean, listen, please don't.
I think so.
I don't want to hear it, but it's hard to, because I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm not talking and touting my shit, but like I'm good at what I do, and I respect, and that's.
I'll be the judge of that.
Yeah, well,
exactly.
No, I'm kidding.
No, it's totally.
No, bring it on.
Like the truth is this, when somebody comes to me like with that attitude, which there's most people out there like that, right? Mm-hmm. It's scary to think, because it's like, dude, it needs to be better, and if you can't hear that. I'm not trying to dish you here. I'm not trying to mock you or anything, but like, if you're not open to constructive criticism, like Mike told me today, like he's like, yo man, your pitch is, needs to be better on this. It's much to be desired. And I'm like, well, it's new to me. It's an idea, whatever. He's like, all right, so listen to the song. I was thinking.
Yeah, but most of the time my pitches needed to be desired.
Good to know that though. Here's the thing. Their stuff is really good. I feel bad that they put it out there, or they'd expect some kind of result, and they're like, it's never going to happen if you're not open to making it better. I'm sorry. That's just the truth. And in my realm, I'm not in your realm. I experience a lot of that, and it's like, I just want to tell that person, man, I just want you to do well. I just want you to do better, Or like when my drum students are like, they get so fed up and frustrated if they can't do one little thing. It's like, dude, this takes time. Everything takes time, and if you're going to listen to me, I'm going to help you, and you're going to help me get better as a teacher. So let's work together and just be patient, man. Rome wasn't built in a day. So
there's one thing that I occasionally mentor people. The one thing that I recommend for everybody, and I like to rewatch it often. Just go on YouTube and do a search for "The Gap" by Ira Glass. The Gap. Now, Ira Glass is the writer and narrator of This American Life, on NPR. And this particular vignette, I think, is the single most important thing any young person starting up in a creative career needs to hear. And when I first saw it, I just thought to myself, wow, if I had been able to benefit from that when I started out, it would have saved me a lot of pain and trouble. And the gist of it, I don't want to give too much away because I want you to watch it. The gist of it is that the real gift that we need to have is not like technical brilliance or stuff like that, or even compositional brilliance. We need to have taste. Mm-hmm. Taste is everything. Taste is what will decide, whether you can recognize to make something better or not. Mm-hmm. And if you have taste, then early on in your career, you will know that you're not very good, and it'll feel bad. You'll like, I should just give up because it's not as good as I want it to be. Mm-hmm. And you just have to work through it. Mm-hmm. And he just puts it really well. You just got to work through it. And your taste is what will carry you towards, doing stuff that not only is technically good or compositionally good, but that ultimately that reaches people, that touches people. And and taste is not something I didn't know if you can teach that. Mm-hmm. It's something that you have right from the beginning, or you don't.
Yeah. Well said, my friend.
The Gap. I didn't say it, but Ira Glass, one of the most brilliant men alive.
Well quoted, my friend. Well quoted. Yeah. That's deep. There's some. I'm getting like overwhelmed with some inspiration here, man. Really deep for me. It's been an experience for sure.
Man, it just like every one of these that we've done, and this is I think episode 8 or 9 at this point. It's we learned something new from our guests, and you have not disappointed at all, man.
Good. Well, like I said, I try to be prolific. There's plenty more where that came from.
Well, good. Well,
I keep on my iPhone. I keep a list of quotations, sayings, quotes, and there's some really, really, really great ones that that inspire me. The one of this month. I mean, I've had it written down for a long time, but but it is so meaningful at the moment, which is Martin Luther King. Your life begins to end the day you stay silent about things that matter.
Yep.
Woo!
That's a good one.
And you can apply that again right through your life. But I know everyone is fighting with themselves at the moment to say, again, what can I do? Does anything I do actually make an impact? Plus, I'm stuck at home, high risk, and I can't go out and march. How do I help? And then, there are things you can do. I'm going to give a little plug to something that me and my wife did yesterday. It's called a bystander intervention training. And it's just this 1 hour seminar. They do a series of different ones about how to deal with when you see someone being harassed for racial reasons, xenophobic reasons, gender reasons, any of that. How do you deal with it as a bystander? And they've taught now more than 11,000 people.
Wow.
And it was a Zoom call. We couldn't see the other people, but apparently there was more than 600 people on it. And so, me and my wife, we walked away from that thinking, I know what to do now. I mean, I know what the choices are.
Can you give us a summary of what?
And also, let's definitely get that link and put it.
Yeah, I'll send you the link and everything like that. But it's all based around an idea called the 5 Ds. And these are ones that you can choose from. One of them is distract. So, for example, let's see, you see someone kind of bullying or being nasty to someone.
Right.
Just kind of walk straight through them and accidentally drop your cup of coffee. Or go to the person that's being victimized and say, hey, man, do you have the time? And you just create a distraction. And it's almost like pressing pause on everything. It gives them a chance to escape or just walk away. So that's one example of it. Another is document. If it's appropriate, film it. But always ask permission, the person that's being victimized, if they are comfortable with you putting it out there in the public. Because you don't want to be accidentally kind of doxing them without their consent. Another one is delay, which means kind of a more delayed reaction. But if you've seen something happen and you haven't been able to really to do anything about it, you go up to them afterwards and say, hey, man, I just saw what happened to you. That's are you okay? Do you need anything? Can I walk you to your next destination? Just want you to know that that's not right. And that in itself can do a lot to disarm the trauma for that person.
Yeah.
That it wasn't.
So they don't feel
another one is delegate. So you look around and say, maybe there's someone in a better position, like a bus driver, or someone in a position maybe of more authority, who you can ask, look, I've just been seeing somebody who's being, pretty cruel and harassing this person down the aisle in the supermarket. Would you be willing to go and intervene? And the final one is direct, which means that you confront, for want of a better word, but you address yourself directly to the harasser. And that is a difficult one because you can escalate the situation and you will be by necessity involved.
Right.
So the next course that I'm going to take with them is, if you do choose and you feel empowered to deal with it directly with a harasser on behalf of someone, you need to know how to do that. And so the next course I'm taking is conflict de-escalation, where you're taught exactly how to deal with that. And I think this is really good stuff, because if then you have millions of people who have shifted from being a potential bystander that does nothing to a bystander that has the tools and knowledge to deal with a harassment, to disarm it. And that includes dealing with instances of police brutality and know what to do with that. I think that we become a more adept citizenry, a more, less, not just less tolerant of harassment, but able to disarm it wherever it is, and so it really makes a dent in it.
Sure. Yeah, and exposing
Makes sense.
exposing all the wrong.
So I believe it's the website. I'll give it to you. It's Hollaback. Hollaback. Let me just check that.
Holla.
Yeah, hollaback.org. Sorry, ihollaback.org. So that's ihollaback.org. ihollaback.org. galapagosislands.org, and you'll see the list of the different free trainings that they do.
That's great.
It's all totally anonymous, and it's really well done.
Well, it seems like you're making the best of your time, man. I don't think a lot of things changed in the fact that being creative. However, you're adding value to humanity, and I think that's beautiful. And we try.
I mean, I've also been involved in some musical fundraisers, working with a friend of mine. He wrote a big band jazz piece that was recorded by 17 musicians in 17 different countries under quarantine, and then all put together and compiled and stuff like that. And we're raising money for First Line Responders Fund. We've had about 5,000-6,000 views now, and we're hoping that will continue to build. It's called the Revival Project, and we have another one coming up if all goes well.
Nice.
Great.
And,
when's that coming up?
Well, we have to friggin' write it. And everyone's busy, but we're going to do it. And, this one is, aiming to benefit, race-related organizations, non-governmental organizations, non-profits.
Sure.
And, much as things are topical right now, that's not going to go away anytime soon. So it's going to be necessary. We want to continue to support, but we hope we will have something within the next 2 months.
Beautiful. It's the best word.
Big band piece.
Big band. It's awesome. That's fantastic. So I guess for me, I feel great about this cast, and I really appreciate you conveying everything you conveyed.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot, and I'm sure our viewers and listeners are, blown away by it. I am.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate the opportunity.
You always wow and inspire me, man, when I see you. We hang out together and stuff. And
well, I guess you guys get the best out of people, right?
I guess.
I think so.
We're blessed with the best of people, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. That's why. Yeah, right. It's the people like you that make this as valuable as it can be. Otherwise, not that anybody else doesn't matter. That's not what I'm saying. However,
right, great.
Mike has these Mikey has these a lot of good relationships with people, and I love connecting with people that are just inspiring. So,
well, at some point, there's a very high chance I'll be in Union before the end of the year.
Let me know.
I will.
That's where he's off to now, is his band practice in Union City.
Excellent.
No, I'm going to Union City, not Union, but Union.
Yeah.
Union City. Yeah.
But,
very cool. Okay.
Thank you so much, Joel.
Thank you both very much. Enjoy. Really happy that you're doing this, and happy to be able to contribute.
Yep, definitely. We'll see you soon.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Falling asleep.
I don't think I've ever been that speechless after something like that.
He's doing some big moves. He's being himself. He's doing what he needs to do.
Authenticity.
About authentic, yeah. Gee.
But also, I don't know how you would describe this, but between his
philanthropy and the subconscious movements that he makes, and how he is as an essence of a person. If you met his wife Gabby as well, they're such giving, kind, beautiful people in such an amazing way, and it's so ingrained in their DNA that's why I really wanted him on the show. I wanted the world to see what you can do when you give something bigger to yourself than just, I'm writing this song. And he made a great point. We know people who just hold on to stuff so hard, songs. And if this is the best thing I've ever written, then why am I doing this? Yep.
I should be of a succession of purpose where it's
not finite. It's not finite. And I think so many people go, well, this is the end. This is going to have an end. Yes, everything has a fucking end. And then you'll have another beginning.
But then you'll have another beginning. And that, to me, essence-wise, is so important to share with so many people on so many levels. Many levels.
Deep. And
I think I'm gonna have this episode stuck with me for a very, 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 if not infinite amount of time.
I can't wait to meet some of these cats, man. I mean, that guy, I'm gonna go out there and I would love to just go out to lunch and just pick his brain more, because he's fascinating.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, I've had a meal at his house, and it does not disappoint.
I'll bet.
I've had a brunch on his porch that overlooks the valley and stuff, man, and it's pretty amazing. Wow.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
You're welcome. This journey is always amazing between you and I.
It's
just starting. I don't think the best is yet to come. Maybe that was the best that's yet to come. Like maybe it's like boom, hey, we're done now.
Man, we'll have all these different personalities, but what we're bringing on the show is just huge for other people to listen to. I think they're going to find it's going to resonate pretty deep.
Yeah, I agree.
Till next time, right?
Till next time. Why don't you go ahead and plug all the avenues that we're at?
So I am able to speak on this microphone today because of Zounds.com and using their Focusrite 18i20 8-channel interface, which is phenomenal. And I know you're wearing Suburban Riot.
Yeah, I am wearing the Suburban Riot tee right now.
I'm drinking.
We drink the Peking Rocks coffee
right now. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah, all the good stuff that comes to us. I'm more of a morning guy with my coffee, but and then also let's talk about where they can find us. www.themusiccombine.com and then the Music Combine on Instagram, and you'll find everything right where you need to get it at the www.themusiccombine.com. Definitely. And again, actually, she was mentioned earlier in the program, but Kazi Mayorga does cut mine and Joel's hair. And
I let her cut it too.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe she could give you a tonal treatment or something on your scalp. But Kazi, I just want to give really thanks and praise because I would never have met Joel unless it was for Roy and Kazi. And also, she, is an independent contractor. She's an artist in a lot of the things that she does. She's an amazing human being, probably one of the most lovely human beings you'll ever meet in your life. And, because of this pandemic, she's a hairstylist. She does her hair. Right. She has her own salon on her own premises, and she's been shut. She's been not nervous, but she's been shut down because of what California has put forth. I'm sure nervous too a little bit because we all are. Yeah. But just want to give her a shout out and knowing that we're thinking of her, and hopefully we're back to cutting hair real soon.
Wishing the best.
Yeah.
And yeah, man. So next time we'll get it going again, and
yeah.
Good night, bro.
All right, dude. You have a good practice. Combine out.